Welcome to the X Block.
Am I right, Marine? Sir, yes, sir! Then listen up.
You're listening to the X Block. I'm Jared. He's Caleb. Let's get into it.
You are listening to the X Block Podcast, episode 14. I'm your host, Jaren, and I'm here with Caleb.
Nope.
And that was the third take of the intro, but you know what?
At least.
We're still going.
The world's number one Xbox podcast, Jaren.
It's true. Probably.
That's the
We had to switch it up there. We're all over.
Yeah, it's messed up, dude. We tried the intro like 9 times in a row, but we got it now. It's perfect. There's nothing to change about it. What was I gonna ask you? No, I wasn't gonna ask you anything. I was gonna say, man, I ate like a huge breakfast before we started recording. You know, it's entirely possible I'm just burping through this whole episode. You know, like you can cut it out, and I'm not gonna be rude about it. I'm just letting you know for your sake.
All right.
Just keep an eye out.
And you know what? Because we've already started in a bizarre ass way. If you want to find us on social media, go over and hit up the X Block Podcast on Twitter, or check out our YouTube, the X Block Podcast.
Dude.
We're on a bunch of other places, but we'll tell you about those at the end. Preferably Twitter and YouTube if you're just coming to hang out.
We never self-promote in the beginning. We finally did it.
Yep.
And can I
We're
say
learning.
something, Jared? Dude, the numbers for our last episode were like way up compared to like our past 2 or 3 episodes.
It's
And
true.
we got new listeners in like, I don't know, the Ukraine and India and what else? I don't remember. Ukraine and India were the ones I remember the best. So shout out to you guys.
Yeah, I want to be big in India. If we're big in India, maybe we can take over PewDiePie like your favorite music site did.
Yeah, dude, for real. But when I saw that Ukraine number go up to like 2% and then some of the others are like at 1% or less than 1%, I was like, wait, so multiple people in the Ukraine, like one of them was like, yo, check out these boys. And he got like his homie to listen to the X Block. You know, I was like, that's crazy.
Dude, my heritage from the Ukraine.
Really? Is that true?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
People come in, they're repping.
Ukraine's pretty. Those people are pretty hardcore. So you know, I don't have any problems with that. You know, I don't think I'd have any problems if you came from anywhere. Honestly, that sounded kind of xenophobic.
I don't think you'd care.
Let me revise that statement. It's great you came from anywhere, Jaren. There you go.
All right, Caleb, what have you been playing?
Oh, dude, nice save. All right, I've been playing. I think I mentioned Dragon Ball Xenoverse, right? The last 13
many
weeks.
times.
Finished it. It's done. Perfected it. It's gone.
Thank
All
Christ.
right? Yeah, it's over. Then I've been playing, I moved on to Dragon Ball Z Ultimate Tenkaichi, and I had 700 gamer score in that game. I'm now at 920 out of 1,000. So what I need to do is find another gentleman who has that game. Guess what, Jaren? Harder than you'd think. Harder than you'd think to find someone who has that game. And it's not available.
I don't think it's harder than I think.
It's not available digitally either. It's only so it would have to be someone with a physical copy. So I'm trying to contact a few folks on TA or whatever, True Achievements for those of you who are unaware, and try to get someone to help me with the 3 remaining online achievements that I need. Because I can't just do that. Like a couple of the achievements you could do just like with 2 controllers, but this one requires an actual another human being on Xbox Live or me
How much
to have.
did you buy that game for?
Like $8 or something.
Was there a second? Just buy it and let Harper help you.
I don't have I was going to say I don't have an extra 360. You have to have another 360 because since it
not
doesn't
back
work.
compat.
No, it doesn't work on your Xbox One. It's one of the, few fucking games. So there's that. And yeah, you'd have to have a second 360 to be able to like double box. So I'm looking for someone to help me with that. If any of you are interested, hit me up on Twitter at XBlockCaleb. Feel free and be like, yo, I have Dragon Ball Z Ultimate Tenkaichi. I'm your guy. And I'll be like, wow, okay. Quite the coincidence. So I've been playing that, and then I'm also playing Halo the Master Chief Collection Chinese Edition a bit. I just, because I finished everything I can do, unless I get some help in Ultimate Tenkaichi. So I quit playing the Chinese Master Chief Collection. I just play it casually, every now and then, just for fun. And so I was like halfway through the Halo 2 campaign on Legendary when I stopped, and now I'm just going to finish the Halo 2 campaign on Legendary. So I'm pretty close, only a couple more levels. And I'm just playing that a little bit while I like watch catch up on some videos and podcasts and stuff. And then I think the next game I'm going to start is an actual new game that I haven't played before, which is Far Cry New Dawn. And that kind of coincides with the recent Far Cry 6, announcement trailer, gameplay trailer that we'll talk about later. But so that's kind of getting me a little more hyped for it too. So I think pretty soon here, before the next episode, I'm pretty confident I'll have started New Dawn and be able to talk about that. And you played it, and you said it's good, better than you expected.
I liked it. Yeah, better than I expected.
Yeah, I didn't expect much from it either, so I'm kind of excited. And that's basically all I've been playing. What about you?
Same.
You've been playing Dragon Ball Z Ultimate Tenkaichi?
Yeah, number
When you
one. I'm number one in the world.
Said same. I was like, wait, you played the Chinese Halo Master Chief Collection and Dragon Ball Z Ultimate Tenkaichi. Huh.
I've been trying to see what the hype's about.
Okay. Yeah, all right.
No, I've been playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Can I say something real quick? I checked. I just asked you like what you've been playing. Now I'm hijacking it. It's over. Your time's done.
Go ahead.
I looked at your profile to see how long you've been playing Valhalla, and it said you've played it for last time I checked was like 3 days and 21 hours, which is like 93 hours. Is that accurate?
No, that's the Xbox tracker. My in-game tracker, like my save file, has a time on it too. That's about 63 hours.
Okay, I was gonna say, wow, so you've kept it on for just like 30 fucking hours? Is that like quick resume?
I think it counts quick resume.
Oh, see, that's another reason to not use quick resume. What a bunch of fucking... Get the hell out of here with that shit. Messes up your tracker. I was going to say, how have you played for 93 hours and you only have 250 gamer score? I was going to be like, oh my God, that's the worst.
A lot of it is back-end loaded. Like, you're going to get like 600 of that at once.
Like a Saints Row the third.
Yeah, which got a remaster or a up-res or whatever the fuck it's called.
Yeah, right after we played it. They have to wait for me to play anything before they fix it or make it better.
They showed a trailer, couldn't tell.
I believe it. But yeah, since I hijacked your other thing, now you can tell me all about Valhalla. Any new impressions?
I was getting bored for a bit, just a little. And then I was like, do I really want to keep doing this? And then I had a couple fun side quests, and I was like, I'm still enjoying this. And then I continued playing it. So pretty much that's been my entire progression in it. Played some more story stuff, banged a man's wife.
In real life or in the game?
Up to you.
Okay.
and yeah, then that was about it. Really, that's all. We played Outriders for like an hour.
I was going to say, you play Assassin's Creed Valhalla for a week, and it's like, that's as much difference as there is almost because it's so big, I guess.
Yeah, well, I also don't want to spoil anything for you or the listeners because the game's so damn long. There's lots of chances people could not be even as far as I am.
Yeah, that makes sense too. But then like Jaren said, he and I started at Outriders after it's finally, fixed and better. And so far, we're only in the very beginning where we just chose like our class, right? And then we kind of stopped at that point. But better than I expected. Story-wise, from what everyone was saying. That may change because we're only, an hour and 15 minutes, like an hour. And everyone says the game has a B-plot story with, like, the story's not the point of the game, all that blah, blah, blah. And we played it, and I was like, wow, this is actually crazy, like, good so far.
Yeah, it seems to be a constant theme with the games we keep playing, where games journalists are like, the story's not that good. And then we play them, and we're like, this story is perfectly acceptable. I don't know what everyone's talking about.
Yeah, I think we're in agreement on that.
All right. Well, we might as well hop into Outside the Box.
I'm thinking outside the box,
where we cover all the news you need to know outside the Xbox community. We're starting off with the PreE3 showcase.
Get it? Because the E in the pre and then the E and E3. You get it, Jared?
Oh, yeah, I get it.
All right.
I wrote it.
Yeah, but like I want to know if you get it.
All right, well, let's talk about the first one. Just get it out of the way. We're not even going to really dive deep on it. I'm going to read it to you, and then we're going to move on. Sonic Central stream. Everything announced, including a brand new Sonic game. You guys want to know what happened in Sonic? They announced a new game with a CG trailer. They showed an old game, Sonic Colors Ultimate revealed. That was revealed, which is a remaster of the 2010 platformer. They announced the Sonic Origins the fuck? Can I not read?
You can't read. It's Sonic Origins compilation, which is a compilation of Sonic the Hedgehog 1 and 2, Sonic 3 and Knuckles, and Sonic CD.
And then some animated series, but like, it's all Sonic, so who cares?
I was gonna say, you Sonic people finally got your fucking bullshit Sonic love. I guess this all coincides with the 30-year anniversary of the series. Yep. And so, they have some Netflix shit coming. They have some animated shit coming too that's like non-game related. Sonic Forces Speed Battle will receive Super Sonic as a character. So this has to do with some Sonic Mobile. Like, I don't know who out there who listens to this plays Sonic Mobile, but if you do, write into us at XBlock Podcast on Twitter. I'd like to fucking know why you need to stop listening to our show. But then we look at the rest of this, Jared, and it's just like, man, Sonic got way more love than it needs.
Caleb gave you Sonic fans way more love than I intended to give you just by explaining the other things that happen.
Yeah, I mean, I saw that CG trailer and like it looks way too real for Sonic. And then I saw that old Sonic Colors Ultimate. And I was like, that game looks interesting, but like something I would never play. And I don't know why anybody else would, but it was fun to watch for literally 1 minute. I was like, well, that was good. That was a good 1 minute. And then it ended. And I was,
that was the thing. Was nothing announced here upset me. Everything I was like, cool, Sonic for Sonic fans.
Yeah, and we are not Sonic fans, but yeah, I mean, here's the thing, Jaren. Sonic is like a product of the 90s, right? Kind of. You would think
So am I.
I'd be all over that. I'm kind of at the tail end of the 90s, but like since I was around a lot of older people, like cousins and my siblings or whatever, my sibling in my life, I kind of identify with 90s shit. Sonic ain't it though. I have no love for Sonic, man.
I was there the whole time almost. And no.
No, yeah, it's I don't have any love. But yeah, if you guys are into fucking Sonic, there you go. You got your big drop and your big blockbuster movie coming out next year or something.
Another game that was announced, Dying Light 2, and it got a release date.
Yeah, kind of re-announced, right?
Given an actual release date, they pulled the Bethesda where they're like, hey, by the way, it's coming this year on December 7th, 2021.
I don't believe them, Jaron. I really don't believe them. It's not even close. They're like December 7th, 2021. I'm like, nope. You're pushing that to January or February. Get the fuck out of here.
No, I believe them.
I don't believe them. We'll see who's right.
They showed way more of that game than I expected them to show. And it was more like it could be pushed by like a week or two. I could see that happening. Maybe just for polish, but a lot of different environments and things were shown in that trailer, which usually you don't get if a game is gonna get delayed. They usually show one cutout slice of a game if it's not quite ready to show off yet. They showed off like a ton of different things all happening all across the map.
Yeah, I did watch the trailer, and based on the initial trailer they showed a few years ago, this one made me way more of a believer. I'm a big fan of Dying Light 1, the first Dying Light game. That was really fun. This game, like the tone and like the city setting with the factions and bullshit, I didn't know if I'd be as much on board. I was like, I don't care about that as much as this like weird kind of Turkish Middle Eastern town from the first game where you're just kind of like parkour zombies was the focus. And this one's more like human focused with at nighttime, you have to worry about zombies more. But then I watched all the shit and they explained it all to me like I was, 4. And I was like, I'm a little bit more on board with this.
Yeah, this game looks good. I'm actually kind of excited for it now. It was exactly what I wanted from that trailer, and I pretty much got it.
Yeah, and they explained that the character, that the factions, you kind of have to identify. There's 3 factions, which I'm like, thank God, there's only 3. And they're like, you kind of have to, play each side or pick which one you want to go with, kind of to a degree, and you make these alliances and make decisions that affect the story and other things. But then they're like, yeah, but it's even though these people, this faction is the point of them is that they fucking suck. Is that it's not really about the faction, it's that you meet characters within that faction who are kind of good or kind of have really like good purposes. And so it's less about choosing between factions and more about kind of grappling with the characters who are actually decent people or provide some sort of good that from that faction versus like the evilness of the faction as a whole. And you kind of having to like grapple with that personally and choose which characters you want to betray, I guess, or which characters you want to side with kind of thing. I was like, that's a little more interesting.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited for that game, and I hope it actually comes out in December, because that'd be a nice thing to just have around before Christmas, before you get like a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah, December's a good time. I don't know if it'll come out right next to, well, I guess Starfield, we're pretty sure is coming out next year, but yeah, so I guess
likely.
scratch that.
Next up, for shown before E3, we saw some of Sony's Horizon Forbidden West. We saw 14 minutes of it, and I watched the thing. And the game looks good. It looks like more Horizon. It's weird. I thought I would be more excited because I really liked the first Horizon, and I know the whole internet's excited about it. And if we say anything negative about it, people will, and the PlayStation fans hear it, they'll be very sour at us.
Yeah, the PlayStation fans will come and find our podcast, boost our viewership by 800,000% just to shit on us.
Yeah, and like I'm not going to buy into the fanboy stuff that everyone else was buying into where they were like, oh, the trailer was 30 frames per second, blah, 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 because it's in like performance mode. And that's how Sony demos basically every game they've shown on the PS5 so far. They show a 30 frames per second 4K version.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. It looks cool. Like I like all the elements they've added to it. The underwater stuff's really cool. Everything looks really nice under there. It's weird how slowly she comes out of the water and back into the water, at least in the trailer. It was just something I noticed. I was wondering if that was loading the bottom and then loading the top of the world.
Yeah, I didn't really notice that too much. I wasn't paying attention to that really, so that's interesting that you point that out.
That gave me actually a thought, which I assume Sony's not doing for this game because it's also on the PS4. But if you had a really fast SSD, you could have way more vibrant and interactable like underwater stuff, because you could hide the transition using the technology of the SSD's really fast loading time by diving into the water and coming out of the water.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. And the SSD for the PS5 is supposed to be faster than the Series X's, I think. So
Yeah.
You know, you would think that.
I wonder what the sacrifices are going to be made for the PS4 version, because this game looks way too good to be on the PS4. Like,
Yeah. It really does look great.
if this is on the Pro at anywhere near 4K, that's got to be like 12 frames per second.
For real. The news isn't really even outside the box almost related, but we put it in here because it's a big piece of news, and it was like a whole gameplay demo reveal. And Sony, like we said, I think in another episode, Sony's Xbox's direct competitor. So we're going to kind of talk about Sony in various instances in the show where it kind of applies. And Horizon Forbidden West is one of the huge Sony exclusives coming out this year. Probably competing directly against Infinite, maybe around that time. Even though they won't necessarily be competing in the same way because, you know, Horizon's trying to sell copies, whereas Infinite's going to be in Game Pass. Anywho, the trailer, or the gameplay trailer for the game, I don't care about Horizon that much. I mean, I never played the first one. I haven't even watched it played through. Usually games I don't play, but I'm interested in, I'll just watch played through. That one I didn't even watch played through all the way. I've just seen various kind of gameplay instances. The whole premise of the robot dinosaurs, and I know the story. I've listened to a spoiler cast and things, so I know the story. And like what's going on. The whole robot dinosaur premise, I don't really vibe with as much. I know it's cool to some people. I'm like, I really don't care. And then the whole sort of native American Indian vibe or something with the bow and arrow and that whole, I don't know. I don't really vibe with the world as much as some people. The sci-fi, like underneath part of it's what I vibe with. For this trailer in particular, though, the color scheme I thought was what looked the best about it. And I thought that, I don't know if it's part of this in the game, but you know, like Aloy was, she talked a lot to herself during that game. Well, I noticed that with some of the Sony games where she's like fighting someone and she's like, she shoots them, she's like, that ought to hurt. And then she like, you know, she'll run around and she'll be like, gotta get in front of him, gotta get over here, which is kind of like, you know, telling the player what to do, but she said it like 19 times. And then she's like, she'll do something and she'll be like, yeah, get down. And I'm like, I hate this kind of shit in games. It's so annoying to me.
It was too spot on, though, that I think that it's added in for the trailer.
I think it is, and I hope so, because for players, I'm not going to play it, but for people who are playing it, I was like, man, I hate that shit in games where you're just yelling at yourself constantly, breaking the flow of combat and other things. Like, so stupid when you shoot a guy with a bow and arrow on the fucking riding the robot, and you're like, that gotta hurt, or something like that. And you're like, I don't, so annoying.
Because unless that whole scene is entirely scripted, there's no way that they did that much extra dialogue for that.
I think you're right. They probably added that in. And then they added a bunch of like Zelda mechanics. Like the parachute that people were talking about, and the, what was the other thing? I don't remember. I don't know. She has a staff now, too, that she slams on the ground to do various things. So, if you're into Horizon, it's coming, and it was a substantial gameplay reveal, so it looks like it is coming out this year. I don't think they'll delay it.
Yeah, they did the annoying thing where they're like, we're going to announce this before E3, and then we're going to not give you the release date because we're going to save that for E3. So, you know what? We're going to take? We're going to take a quick second to talk about pre-E3 demos of games. And I know you guys are going to think they complained about this before, so they're going to come down hard on all of these games. Caleb might, but I'm going to say just get out ahead of this in a different way. I'm totally fine with the Sonic, and I'm totally fine with the Dying Light 2, because both of those things, except for maybe Sonic if they were on Nintendo's stage, would have made any noise during the big E3 releases and like the announcements there. Dying Light almost had to come out before because it gets its own press cycle. But then when you figure it's about to get its own press cycle, and then Sony brings out Horizon Forbidden West to show us a 14-minute state of play, just because they don't want to put 14 minutes of gameplay in their E3 press conference where they're waiting to see what Microsoft does and whether they have to announce 7 games that are 8 years out to compete with what Microsoft says. And then they're going to give a release date for Horizon Forbidden West because that's what gets people excited. And then Far Cry did the same kind of thing. Like, you have a Ubisoft showcase. We're going to talk about Far Cry 6 in a sec. And I liked a lot of what I saw. But you have a Ubisoft showcase. Why are you demoing your game with a release date before your showcase?
Dude, I'm totally with you. I'm with you in what you said about Sonic and Dying Light 2. For Dying Light 2, they had to let people know that the game wasn't dead, that it still fucking existed. I know they kind of did that with the developers answering questions videos, you know, but from before on YouTube from a few months ago. And one recently. So they did that, but then they had to let people know that the game was actually, you know, coming out. And with a decent press cycle, because they had a lot to show and let you know that the game still fucking exists. They still could have saved that for E3 in some way, but I don't know. It's Dying Light 2, I just give a bit of a pass, which I rarely do. Sonic, it's a 30-year anniversary thing. And also they had like 7 to 9 things to say and show.
That weren't game related.
I was going to say, a few of which weren't game related. So that didn't really make sense for E3 because they had like 3 things that were just shows, animated shows, whatever, Netflix, other things too. And since it's Sonic's 30th anniversary, it's like it's its own thing. The PlayStation thing, the Sony thing, even, I was listening to Sacred Symbols, which is a popular PlayStation podcast I listen to, and they were talking about it on there too, about the Horizon thing, where they're like, yeah, it's kind of funny how Sony is, they just want to be at E3 without being at E3 also, because they also have something probably going on around then in June, I think.
Yep.
I don't know if it's with Jeff Keighley's Summer Game Fest stuff. It's like, man, they just don't want to be part of E3 in name, but they're totally trying to be part of this whole thing. They're not like, we're not a part of E3. We're out. And then they just show their shit, only in July or only in August or only in May. It's like, no, you're not. Shut the fuck up. You just don't want to be part of. You're trying to be like I don't know. It's almost like Sony trying to be, I don't know, the cool guy in high school or something, like, or in middle school even. You know what I mean? Like, get the fuck out of here.
They also always wait for Xbox to go first so that they know what they have to do in their showcase to like come out as slightly better in the games journalist like press cycle.
Yeah, it seems that way. And for people who say that these not developers but publishers and hardware manufacturers, whatever, don't change their E3 press conferences based on what other people do, that may be true more to a degree now. But I mean, you can remember the whole thing with what was it, PS2 or PS1 at that, I don't know, I'm not a huge PlayStation fan, but at that one event where Sega announced their price point for their machine. And then the guy just walked up on stage and said like $200 or $300, whatever it was, then walked off. You remember what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. So, and that wasn't scripted or planned. The dude literally just like made up a price point that was cheaper on the spot. So, I mean, I don't remember. You guys can look up what I'm talking about. I'm not a huge PlayStation, like I said, historian, so I don't remember. I just know that happened when on off the cuff, somebody at PlayStation undercut Sega's price point by $100, just literally right after they announced it. All they did was go on stage, say it, and walk off. It was crazy. Anyway, that happened. And yeah, for this, I don't know. I hate the pre-E3 shit. I hate it. Especially with Ubisoft. Like you said, we're going to talk about later with Far Cry, where they're like, we have this whole fucking Far Cry 6 thing. It's like, aren't you guys going to E3 in 2 weeks? What are you doing?
Yeah, they have a full show. And we know because they've said that they don't have more games coming out this year aside from Far Cry and like Riders Republic and then some free-to-play stuff. So we know that they don't have more stuff. They're just going to show us more Far Cry 6 at E3.
They just want their own, dude, these companies just want their own press cycles. That's all they want. They know when E3 is, and they're like, we want our own press cycle for our own product. And it's like, yeah, but now like fucking half of you are trying to get in on that. So it just makes it shitty, especially from our standpoint.
Yeah, you're squashing games like Dying Light 2, which could have actually had some solid press alongside Sonic.
They're like, guys, can you wait for the Super Bowl? And it's like, yeah, but like, won't we get more viewership in total and more ad revenue if we like play the first 10 minutes of the Super Bowl like 2 weeks early, and then we finish the Super Bowl in 2 weeks, and then we have all those viewers for like that amount of time? It's crazy. And we can have this whole pre-Super Bowl like hype lineup. I don't know. It's not a direct comparison, obviously, but I'm trying to say it's stupid. That's the point. That's the point I'm making.
Yeah, it's like if I came to you and I said, hey, Caleb, I got a surprise for you. And you were like, ooh, I'm excited. And I said, yeah, I'm going to send you a shirt for Christmas. But it's not there yet, so it'll be a surprise when it gets there.
Yeah, that's exactly. Yeah, you're like, but I know it's a shirt. You're like, but I'm sending it. You're like, it's a secret. And it's like, no, it's not. You just told me about it. It's annoying.
Well, the last game that was announced that we've already kind of alluded to is Far Cry 6. And I know we just shit on them a little bit, and we're going to shit on them just a tad bit more. Caleb might not know about this, but Far Cry 6... they came out on Twitter, Caleb, and they said, hey, Jaren, you there. We're going to have this presentation at 9:30 Pacific Standard Time, 12:30 for you. And I was like, cool, I'm writing the doc for the show. I'll switch over to it, watch it, and then add it into the doc for the show, which I usually do on Fridays.
As Jaren does, yeah.
And I was like, cool, I'll watch this. I switch over at 12:30 my time. Their idea of starting at 12:30 is that they put up a bunch of screenshots with another 30-minute countdown until they actually debut the stuff.
Oh, that's the worst too. People do that nowadays too, man, where they're like, we're starting at this time, but that time means a 30-minute to a 1-hour pre-show. Like,
but it wasn't even a pre-show. It was just screenshots layered over music for 30 minutes.
Oh, dude, they love that though. You know who that's for? It's for the press people, because then they show up then and they have these screenshots ready with thumbnails, and they can, get ready to start writing their articles and things. And they can start typing up some pre-shit, just from the screenshots. That's who that's for. It's the worst.
Yeah, well, Eat my dick, Ubisoft.
I'm with you.
And now to the positive. Far Cry 6 looks cool. Jaren approved so far. Also, simply because of the fact that they finally learned and they gave their fucking main character a voice.
Yeah, dude, they really did. It finally happened. It's so exciting.
I've been complaining about it for 2 years or three games or 3 full games.
However, I know Far Cry 3, he had one. I don't remember Far Cry 4. I think he did, right?
I think he kind of does, but he barely speaks.
Yeah, he barely speaks, and then they had, I think he barely speaks. He only speaks in, like, cutscenes, right? Even in Far Cry 3. I don't remember the guy's name, even though I just played it.
Yeah, he does. He only speaks in cutscenes, I think. And there's no, like, side quest, like, where you briefly talk to someone.
I don't know.
He doesn't speak then, I don't think.
It's not, it needs to be, the point is, this one looks more integrated.
Yeah, and immediately, like, instantaneously, the trailer felt like your character actually is part of the world.
Oh, yeah, dude, it was awesome. Like, I'm with Jaren. Jaren and I, you gotta understand, we're living both of these things simultaneously. We hate that they announced it now, and we think it's stupid. But what they showed was cool, right? So the world looked cool, the setting looked cool. Everyone's speaking Spanish, and from someone who lives around a bunch of people who speak Spanish too, I thought it was cool. And then they had the main character. I can't tell because they had like 2 gameplay things. One that was the narrated section, and one that they kind of showed, I don't know, you like running around with your pet companions and other things. Wasn't like one of those a dude and one of those was a girl? Do you have options?
It's like Assassin's Creed. You can play as a girl or a guy. That's why the characters, they gave them like a middle of the road name like Danny, so it can be either.
I was gonna say I had a coworker named Danny once, but he was also a Mexican man. He was awesome. That's who that reminded me of every time they said Danny. And but I'm gonna play as the chick. The chick looks cool.
She seems like the main. At least the one they're advertising.
Yeah, I'm going to play as the chick. The guy who was the guy doing the narration over all the gameplay, that seemed like a dope character, where he was like, no, you can't whistle. I bet you can't whistle. And then she whistled. That was fucking awesome. Everything looked cool with the weapon schemes, that they add these new crazy weapons, the CD launcher. I know everyone loves.
Yeah, hey, Macarena.
Yeah. Everyone loves that. They have like some backpack that fires fucking missiles like your goddamn Boba Fett into the air, and then they like shoot down. And the vehicles look cool. Everything looks very stylized. And most importantly, I think Jaren's right. The world looks great, and the character looks like they actually come from that world, as opposed to just being totally out of place.
I'm definitely excited for that. They also gave a release date.
Yeah, what was it? I forgot because it's coming out when it comes out for me. Was it September?
No, it was October, I believe, but let me double check. October 7th.
October 7th. Everything coming out on the 7th now. All right. Interesting.
Yep. December 7th for Dying Light, October 7th for Far Cry.
Yeah, I'm almost definitely going to play New Dawn now soon, because I want to play New Dawn before this game comes out.
This game looks much better than New Dawn, but New Dawn's
really
still
does.
fun.
It looks like the best Far Cry game since 3.
It does, yeah, because there's an actual villain who seems like he's doing a good job.
Yeah, everything about it, just the environment, the characters, the weapons, even the animal companions thing, the dialogue itself, everything just like looks like it's shaping up to be a great Far Cry game. Although I'll say the game doesn't look much different besides like the ray tracing, right? Like the ray tracing looks good, and then everything else, it kind of looks just like Far Cry. I don't know.
It's weird. The cinematic trailer looked worse than the gameplay trailer.
Worse? I thought the cinematic trailer looked great. You mean the one with what's his name, Giancarlo Esposito?
No, not that one. Not the one that they showed first. I mean, like a year or two ago.
Yeah.
I mean, the one that they showed in this event. They had like a more cinematic-y trailer where they were kind of like showing more faces and stuff. And then they had the one where they showed the gameplay of like actually like playing the game. And that one looked really good with like the water reflections and all that kind of stuff. That thing looked like much better than 5 did.
Okay, yeah. So I think it looks better than 5. I just wasn't like blown away given the new consoles and everything. And I think we were talking about, I was thinking it was Far Cry, but it was actually Dying Light 2 from earlier, where the developers said they weren't going to have a cyberpunk type release where the old console gens are shit.
Oh yeah, that was Far Cry.
Was it Far? I thought it was Dying Light 2. Maybe
that was Far Cry 6. Maybe they both said it.
I don't know. But yeah, so this game's coming out for older consoles too, right? For PS4, Xbox One.
And they said they're going to show it before it launches to let people know.
Yeah, okay. So there you go.
Moving on from the PreE3 showcase, we're going to just do a brief update on this Ubisoft update. Ubisoft CEO Yves Guillemot addressed the misconduct allegations in an open letter. You can read the open letter over on the GameSpot article, or you can look it up on Ubisoft's website for like the full article in its entirety. Essentially, he addresses a lot of the things. He points out significant strides that they've made including like directing all their anonymous HR complaints to an outside company.
Yeah, which we didn't know about before. We speculated and talked about the story. Just to interject, we talked about this last week. And I think it was last week, right? In a decent amount of detail. And I read the letter, and yeah, it basically just kind of it goes over what Jared and I said and what that one representative said that they've done. But it says it in many more words. And what we didn't know was that apparently the anonymous complaint system that they implemented, those anonymous complaints, like Jared said, get routed to a third party rather than an internal person.
And they announced like how they'd done like more training and all that kind of stuff. And I'm going to say still, like, I feel like Caleb and I are still going to sit on the same kind of opinion where, like, yeah, we more like understand now that Ubisoft's laid out what they're doing. But a lot of this stuff doesn't seem as relevant when you still have a couple of the people who have formal complaints against them. And instead of firing them, you move them to be the heads of other studios.
Or, yeah, at least relocate them to, I don't know if they're heads of studios, but that one guy who got relocated to Paris, right? I think he was at Singapore.
Yeah, and they just moved him. Like, that guy should have been let go. Like, that doesn't, you're essentially subjecting all of your employees who didn't do anything to more training on accepting diversity and like all this kind of stuff. And it's like, maybe just like don't sexually harass people. And if you do, you get fired.
Yeah, it seems like a no tolerance fucking ban hammer, fucking whatever you can do about it kind of approach.
Yeah.
They seem like, they just said they basically do a lot of these sessions where they all talk about shit. And a lot of people have been educated and they've hired people to continue educating people. And some of the roles, as Yves Guillemot described them in the letter, if you read them, is like, this person is responsible for telling people on a global scale, kind of, that what our values are. You're like, what the fuck? What is like? Why don't you just fire somebody who sexually harassed someone?
Yeah, and just don't let people sexually harass people.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's not that hard.
They have a lot that they've implemented. Some of it seems like, in my opinion, somewhat of a waste of time and not really addressing directly the problem. Some of it seems like probably good ideas, such as the anonymous complaint system now, whereas before, I guess it wasn't anonymous. And I guess it also wasn't directed to a third party. Yeah, you had to go to HR person who apparently some of those people weren't doing anything. And I guess some of the training for the HR staff is good as well, just to be able to deal with the shit. But, it's like good and bad. Some good things, but Ubisoft's still doing some bad things, seemingly, if they have some of these people still around.
Yeah, it's like if you created this movie set, for example, just to put it into more my field. If
Jared's
you created a movie set where you had all these regulations and all this stuff and you preached inclusivity and we want all people's ideas to be met and nobody's going to be here that will infringe against all those, and we want this to be a harassment-free thing,
no
and if that happens, you'll be fired immediately.
Yeah.
And by the way, our main lead actor is Kevin Spacey's getting his first role after he sexually assaulted people. I'd be like, well, then none of this stuff matters.
Yeah, no. It'd be like, nah, it's kind of a little off.
Like, I'm not going to give Ubisoft the benefit of the doubt. Obviously, we assume that they'll be able to progress forward without any of this stuff. I feel like that's not that hard. But, maybe don't, like, rehire a guy that you fired for certain things and put him in a different role and move him around like you're the church, and then go and yell at everybody else for not following the rules.
Jared and I are pretty much, I think, in agreement on this whole thing.
All right, moving on to the next one. This one should be pretty quick. Nintendo Switch Pro reportedly includes USB 3.0 and Ethernet ports plus a Surface-style stand. So essentially, things have leaked about the Nintendo Switch Pro.
I'll just say, wasn't this it was like a Bloomberg Japan reported this, right? Something like that?
Yep.
It's Bloomberg.
It's actually, I think the original report of the Nintendo Switch Pro is from Bloomberg.
Oh, okay.
This is from a Spanish outlet called Vandal.
Okay, and I was going to say, I think Eurogamer also corroborated Bloomberg's report. So it's a lot of this is kind of reported but corroborated stuff.
Yeah, and they essentially say they're going to show off the Switch pre-E3, the new Pro model of the Switch, and it's going to have a 7-inch Samsung OLED screen, which that should make it more expensive.
For sure.
Yeah, it's a new Switch. I don't know what else more to say about that. Like, cool, it's a new Switch. You guys should have a new Switch that can handle more power.
Docked, I guess it'll be 4K, and undocked, I guess it'll still be like 1080p, we assume.
Right? Yeah, you don't really need it to be 4K undocked. The screen's too small.
Yeah, I agree. And so they're going to announce that allegedly before E3 so that games announced at E3 can announce their Switch that they're coming out for the Switch Pro. Is apparently why.
Okay, that's cool.
And then the Switch Pro is set to launch, this September, October-ish. And apparently, this was crazy. I think this was VGC. I read this wrong. Apparently, the Switch Pro is going to launch with fewer, because of the whole global supply shortage. First of all, it's crazy that Nintendo's even able to launch this thing. Apparently, they have some really good connect with the microchips that are in short supply. I don't know who their connect is, but they have a good connect to be able to get whatever they need. And another kind of the flip side of that is it still says that they're going to launch with a fewer number of units than traditionally for Nintendo hardware. And I'm like, that's crazy because Nintendo purposely doesn't put out enough hardware anyway. Nintendo sucks. They create arbitrary demand for their product by severely limiting the supply when they don't have to, when there are enough parts and there isn't a global pandemic. But apparently, if you want the Switch Pro, 4K, probably more powerful, OLED screen, a stand, some accoutrements, some better shit. It's like, now, guess what, dude? It's going to be harder to get a Switch Pro than it is to get a Switch. Which, guess what? My mom and I tried to figure out how to get my girlfriend a Switch for Christmas this last year, and I did successfully by getting on the jump on one of the drops. Still fucking incredibly hard to get a goddamn normal Switch that came out in 2017 in the year 2020. So we'll see how this goes with supply shortages, but it is apparently coming.
And speaking of the Switch, just a quick offshoot. It's a rumor, so that's why I didn't want to talk about it too much. Valve is reportedly making a handheld gaming PC that has been likened to the Switch.
Oh yeah, and which we assume is when we talked about, I think last week, Gabe Newell said at that one Q&A where he was like, we're going to have how they were going to be doing stuff, I guess, in the console space in some way. And he was like, you won't be able to, it's not what you think it is. And there are reports, I don't know by whom, I haven't really looked into it deeply, but yeah, that it's going to be some sort of Steam handheld.
Yeah, apparently it comes from Ars Technica. So yeah, if you're excited for that, I guess get hype. It's a possibility.
We'll
also
see
a new
it.
Switch. So if you like handheld gaming, you've got some options coming up.
We got more to talk about a little bit handheld kind of later in the show too, during the Xbox.
Yep. And Sony is making some Xbox moves, Caleb. These ones are pretty straightforward. Uncharted 4 is coming to PC, according to official Sony docs. And Sony will start bringing some iconic PlayStation IP to mobile this financial year. These essentially came from them talking to their investors.
Yeah, and both of these are reported by Video Games Chronicle. Yep. And it makes sense with their bullshit because Days Gone apparently just launched on PC, and apparently it's a success and did well, which we assume. And so it looks like Sony's just going to keep putting their back catalog of games on PC, as they become 3, 4, 5 years old.
Surprise, the one of the most successful companies in the world was right about where you should put your gaming platform.
Yeah, and if you want to keep buying $200 million worth of stock in Epic, then you got to keep making more money.
And I have a feeling, just going forward, from what Jim Ryan has said in his quotes, that we're going to start getting PC games from PlayStation much quicker to the release of the game on their PlayStation.
And so much for that, whole Sony mantra of, you guys get the new games on PlayStation, when they come out, you get those big bangers. And it's smart, PlayStation should be doing that. But they are loosening their grasp on their IP as of late and where they put them.
I'm not going to say the same stupid thing that Sony people say to Xbox, where they're like, well, if I have a PlayStation and a PC, then I can play all of Xbox's games. And it's like, yeah, sure, if you have a good PC, go for it. But the PlayStation 5, when you can actually buy it, is still a much better bang for its buck in terms of playing Sony's new games, if you want to play Sony's new games, as opposed to, if you're an Xbox fan, going out and buying a PC. You might as well just buy the PlayStation 5.
Yeah, for sure. And also Sony, Xbox is fine with that. That's why they're on PC. Like, they want you to play there. If you just want to buy a PC and not play games on Xbox, that's why they have that option.
That's why PC Game Pass exists. That's where the money comes from. And now, Sony was making some Xbox moves for that. Here's Sony making some Sony moves. Borderlands 3 was ready to allow full crossplay, but PlayStation support has been pulled. Now, there's no 100% confirmed things. Gearbox's Randy Pitchford blamed it on Take-Two. He said that Take-Two didn't okay it. The rumor around that is that because what we found out in the Epic trial, that Sony charges for crossplay, that 2K just didn't want to pay the crossplay fee, so it's not allowed.
Yeah, Sony, to their credit, they're a fucking business, man. They're trying to make so much money off crossplay. They're like trying to bleed these publishers and people dry, being like, yo, you give us a cut and shit. And somehow they'll do it, which is crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy.
Yeah, so they tried to, Sony tried to shake down Take-Two probably. And then Take-Two is like, nah, bitch, fuck you.
And now, moving on to the review roundup.
In a world where reviews are too long to read and review videos are too long to watch, one man will compile all of the reviews. review roundup.
And what does it say, Caleb?
Nah.
There you go.
What about Biomutant, Jared?
I don't care.
I don't care either.
It was so all over the place with like reviewers giving it 90s and then some reviewers giving it 60s and then the game's Twitter account being like, haha, maybe you should play the game yourself because clearly nobody knows how to review it. And I'm just like, I don't, you're not worth this. Like Biomutant's not worth, if this had been like Halo Infinite and like some people had given it 100s and some people had given it like 60s, I would have been like, cool, let's dive into this. Let's figure this out. It's Biomutant. Nobody cares.
No, I don't care. So, I mean, you say no one cares. Some people do care, which is crazy. I've heard a lot of hype from various individuals and people being like excited for Biomutant thing. And I looked at some gameplay and I was like, I don't care.
You know what? If you're excited for Biomutant, all the power to you. I hope you enjoy your game. Not even going to joke about it. Obviously, we just want people to play the games that they want to play. And sometimes we're not going to
What are you talking
like
about,
the
Jared?
same games that you want.
You bully me all the time.
No, Caleb doesn't count.
Okay.
Caleb's playing games from like a decade ago to get one achievement.
Yeah, but was it? I'm not even going to talk about it.
And now he's like, I'm playing a new game. I'm playing Far Cry New Dawn. It doesn't count as a new game because it has new in the title.
It's new to me.
All right, moving on to the X Block, Caleb.
I
I like that this one's like live. That all the other ones get like put in post, and this one I make you do every episode.
Yeah,
now.
I was about to ask you. I was like, oh god, do I have to do this every episode?
Oh yeah, I'm not gonna clip it. You're just gonna have to do it. You'll get to give like different levels of energy every
you
episode.
can't
We'll
just
see.
clip it.
I could.
You could, but you.
I could, but I won't.
Oh, the audience is gonna fucking. I don't know if they're on my team or your team because there's definitely a divide here. All right, this is a hostile podcast.
The first news: we've got a date for the Xbox and Bethesda Games Showcase. It has been confirmed for June 13th. So that's a Saturday, I believe. Or is it a Sunday?
Let's see. I have my calendar here.
It's a Sunday, I think.
Yeah, let's pray about it together. Hold on. Yeah, it's a Sunday.
All
I was
right.
going to say they usually go on Sunday. It was going to be weird if it was a Saturday, right?
Yeah, I forgot for a second. Ubisoft is the one that's on Saturday, to show off Far Cry,
Yeah.
'cause we haven't seen it yet.
It wasn't EA. When isn't EA usually on Saturday or something? I don't remember. Fuck it.
Usually Bethesda's on Saturday night, and then the main ones go on Sunday.
It's been a long time. We didn't have E3 last year.
Yeah, but whatever. Dude, get excited. The funniest thing is the marketing for this show. Xbox and Bethesda have come together to present. You bought the company.
You bought the company.
We don't need this fake. We're friends.
They're so like I don't know how you talk about it. They're trying so hard to make it look like Bethesda's independent. They're trying so hard to give them that. Like they're still Bethesda, and it's like yeah they are, but you bought them, so they're yours.
It's fine to say we bought Bethesda. We let them run the company how they choose.
But it's like Xbox and X Bethesda showcase. It's like you mean the Microsoft showcase?
Yeah, the Microsoft showcase. I guess it's because Xbox and Bethesda are separate, so they can say the Xbox and Bethesda showcase, but they're both owned by Microsoft.
Yeah, it's a good marketing thing, and something that I haven't really looked too deeply into. Haven't really figured out. The image on social media that's circulating about the showcase and how the partnership. Who the fuck are those Spartans in the top right?
Dude, I don't know. They're new.
Like you see the image, right?
Yeah.
Who are they?
Who knows, dude? You're gonna find out. I bet you will find out. I'm
You don't
100%
understand,
positive
Jared.
you'll
I'm
find out at E3.
Deeply curious. I've been curious ever since. I'm looking at them like, who the fuck are you?
I guarantee you'll find out, Caleb.
I follow the Xbox corner or the Halo corners of the internet. I'm in there. I'm deep. And
Did you see the Starfield thing?
And I don't fucking know who that. What do you mean? What are you talking about?
At the bottom left corner of that image.
Yeah, I saw that, but
is
fuck
the-
all
is
that.
the
Who are
Starfield
those
thing.
Spartans? Who cares about Starfield? Who are those people?
That's Jeff, Dave, and Jill.
If one of them is named Jeff, Dave, or Jill, I'm quitting the podcast.
What if all three of them, and this is just my way to drop
Here's
the inside
Jeff,
knowledge
Dave,
on you.
and Jill. I'm like, oh no, Jared.
I hope one of them's named Jeff, Dave, or Jill.
This is a dumb podcast.
Oh yeah, it is. It's a good one this week. I like this one. All
Yeah.
right, moving on to E3 rumors and Xbox speculation. The first is a rumor from Pure Xbox. Well, it's actually from that guy Klobright, or I don't know how you say his name.
I've seen him around on Twitter. He has the speaking of what do you call it? Conker's Bad Fur Day. Doesn't he have Conker as his mascot or like his?
I think he
avatar?
does.
Yeah.
He's also like draws a lot of images for stuff that he thinks Xbox should use, and he lots of times has information that's corroborated by Tom Warren. So he's usually pretty good about his stuff, and he says Xbox has 5 new AAA games to announce at E3, and that's just what he knows about. He says he doesn't know about everything that's going to happen at the show, and obviously stuff can be pulled, like they famously pulled Fable from like E3 2 years ago, because they were like, maybe we don't need to show this yet. So obviously stuff can get moved around.
Yeah, they were right about it. Phil said that when they were talking about Fable. He's like, we purposely didn't show that at 1E3. I was like, nah.
Yep. So we're going to talk about this more in the X Factor discussion on what we think might be possible at Xbox's E3. But yeah, so 5 new AAA games, almost guaranteed, but still we're 2 weeks away from the show. Some could get taken out.
Indeed.
And that means like new, not announced is what he's saying. That's not the stuff that we know about. I guess stuff could be rumored, like this next story, which is actually written by Caleb. So I'm going to let him tell me about it.
Oh, okay. So let me pull this up real quick. This one is, the title of it is Forza Horizon is reportedly collaborating with Hot Wheels this year. And so I initially saw this reported by VGC, and then I also wrote an article about it. And apparently, I'll just read from part of my article over at Screen Rant, if you want to find me there, Caleb Greer. The news says, as reported by website VGC, an Instagram post from, it's T Hunted Blog, is their name on Instagram, suggests that a new line of unannounced Hot Wheel models branded with the Forza Horizon logo is coming this September. The account belongs to website T Hunted, which proclaims itself, quote, the best site about Hot Wheels and diecast. Alongside the release date, the post contains images of 3 packaged cars in the line, and there's 3, I listed 3 cars, but then the news comes here, so I'll just read this because I could speculate off the cuff, but I'm just going to be reiterating what I already wrote down.
Sounds good.
So it says, assuming these images are real, they provide a great deal of information. Industry insider Jeff Grubb let slip last year that he believed that Forza Horizon developer Playground Games would be ready to release its next racer before developer Turn 10 would be ready with sim racer Forza Motorsport 8. This is unusual because Horizon and Motorsport have released every other year since the first Horizon launched in 2012. Meaning, so like in 2012, Forza Horizon came out, and then 2013 was Forza Motorsport 5, and then 2014 was Forza Horizon 2, and so on and so forth. Though no new Forza game has released since 2018's Horizon 4. And we presume this is, to give them more time to develop for the next-gen hardware. So we haven't had a new Forza game since 2018. Just last month, both Grubb and reporter Jez Corden teased a Mexico setting for the unannounced Horizon 5 on Twitter. Finally, every Horizon game except the first has launched at the end of September, which I had to look up to make sure that was true. Given the desert background of the Hot Wheels packaging, which it is, the cars are like set on some sand and what looks like, it could be a beach, so it could be wrong, but it also looks like a desert, kind of like a Mexico setting with a clear sky. And so given the desert background of the packaging, the September release, and the use of the new Forza font from the Motorsport 8 reveal trailer, which some people may have missed, the Forza Horizon font that they traditionally use on these packages, and the traditional Forza Horizon kind of like logo, they don't use that. They use the Forza as a font that they used in the initial Motorsport 8 reveal trailer from last year. So given that, these models add credence to the theory that Horizon 5 will launch this fall and be set in Mexico. And they've had these Hot Wheels, models launch with themed, Horizon shit in multiple instances, and they've done some with different game launches, like Forza Motorsport 7, I think, and Forza Horizon 3 and 4. I think definitely 4. I don't know about 3. But have had like launches with that coincide with the release of some Hot Wheels lines. And so this recent one that's coming out in September with the packaging and some of the cars, or at least one of the cars, isn't in Forza Horizon 4 yet. So all this kind of hints that it's probably true. Not like, certain, but 70%-ish, 70%-ish, true that we're probably going to get a Forza Horizon 5 set in Mexico announced for this year at E3. We'll see.
So you're saying there's a 70% chance that we get a car on the stage at Microsoft conference.
If they drive a fucking car on the stage, I hate that shit. It's so over the top. Like, they don't have to. I'm kind of happy with it, Like, it doesn't really bother me, but then it does really bother me. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's how I feel about it.
Is DICE teasing Battlefield 6, and will it be at Xbox's E3 showcase? This is a quick one. Xbox announced their E3 showcase. DICE responded with that, like, eyes peeking emoji, and then Xbox responded with the eyes wide open emoji back to somebody at DICE. So that's the rumor. We already kind of expected Battlefield 6 at Xbox's conference based on Xbox's strong relationship with EA.
Yeah, there had been theories beforehand that Battlefield 6 would be next gen only, and I think those have been squashed, right? It's not next gen only.
Yeah, they have.
Yeah, so that's disappointing. Yeah, there were rumors that it could be dropping in Game Pass day one. I don't think that's true, right? But maybe. And then now there's this rumor. Not really a rumor, but yeah, we just assume that we'll see more Battlefield 6 at Xbox's E3. I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Yep, that would not surprise me one bit. Something that has surprised people, though. Xbox, does it have major DRM issues? Turns out no, Caleb. Turns out no.
And I'm going to let you just explain this one to me, because sometimes I'm dumb. And I read up on this, and you and I talked about it a bit, and I was like, I'm just going to let you tell me about it.
Essentially, the popular, I have no idea if he's popular, Modern Vintage Gamer has come out with a video report over the past 24 hours, which has caused a stir, among social media, where he found a serious problem with DRM issues on the Series X. And he's basically saying, when I put in my smart disk delivery-based games, some of them don't run offline, and some of them do run offline, but the ones that don't say you need an initial install or update. And he's saying that this constant connection to online makes some of these games useless, and they have way more of an invasive DRM strategy than they have had in the past. And Xbox, someone who works at Xbox, went over to Reset Era and they commented this: smart delivery discs vary in content for a variety of reasons. Discs like Forza Horizon 4 were pressed years before Series X/S existed. Repressing discs is expensive and doesn't actually help anyone since it would require the user to repurchase anyway. Discs like FIFA 2021 were pressed with a stub of the Xbox Series X and S version, as that version simply was not ready at the time that discs were pressed. Discs may not be able to contain both versions of the game for space reasons. Which versions are pressed is up to the developer, but I would expect that it will generally line up with whichever was the primary version developed. For now, cross-gen titles are primarily targeting Xbox One, but that will change over time. So essentially, based on when the disc was made and pressed, determines whether the game might work on the Xbox Series X or if it needs to be on the old Xbox One for you to be like connected to online, where you might have to be online. Because the discs are different. And that's essentially what they're saying, is that you need to be connected to online to use specific features, and some versions of the game aren't on that disc, like probably the smart delivery versions for the Xbox Series X.
So that other guy didn't know what he was talking about.
Well, essentially, Microsoft doesn't help with the way that which they talk about in this. Also, they say that they're going to try to come up with better messaging and how to explain a situation more to the consumer. But yeah, if you have your internet off, chances are some of your games won't work on the new Xbox Series X, and I'm pretty sure on the PlayStation 5 too as well. I've heard things about that.
Okay.
But yeah, that's pretty much how it's going to work going forward. So,
kind of a boring story, but somewhat important to talk about if you're having issues with your Xbox.
Yep, make sure you have internet. And also, you literally can't set up the console without internet. So I don't know how you set it up if you don't have internet.
It's true. That's true.
It's a brick without internet. If you don't originally set it up with internet, it doesn't work.
Yeah, people got mad at Xbox for trying to launch in an online-only way with the Xbox One. But in 2021, how is it not online?
I don't even think you can play any console's initial setup without it connected to the internet.
Is that true?
I'm pretty sure, you can't set up the PS5 or the Xbox Series X or S without it originally being connected to the internet at the start.
Yeah, I mean, it's an online world at this point, man. And we're online girls, so.
Sounds good. The next news is kind of no news. Halo Infinite's latest dev blog delayed as studio focuses on big June event. Essentially, they're not giving you any news because they understand how the fuck E3 works, and they're saving their news for E3.
Jaren's upset about it, but happy. He likes the premise. He doesn't get, but just no one will follow suit. But I'm happy. I'm like, hell yeah, don't tell me anything. Just save it.
Could you imagine how many more points we would have given to Ubisoft for their press conference if that was the first time we saw Far Cry 6?
Ooh, I would have nothing bad to say. All I would have been able to say was it doesn't look quite as good as I thought it might, but who cares given everything else?
Yeah, and they probably would have showed a bunch of other games. Now we're just going to see a bunch of people play Far Cry 6 and talk to us like, oh my god, I'm having so much fun. Me too, Dave.
What are we going to be excited for? Ubisoft's what's going to be, how is it going to be even close to as good as it would have been had we just seen Far Cry 6 there? Like you said.
Yeah, no idea.
I don't know. Why were we even going to watch Ubisofts at this point?
We're still gonna. We're not giving a nice score, a nice score of 4 if it's bad out of 10. The new Xbox DS. Everyone's like, what? The new Xbox DS. As of today, Microsoft has turned the Surface Duo into an Xbox DS. Essentially, This is a 2-screen kind of like, I guess like tablet. It's kind of like a mini Surface.
I don't have any Microsoft. I'm not really into Microsoft tech like that. It's not gaming related or gaming hardware. Like, I have a Surface Book laptop, but I don't like this shit. I was totally unfamiliar with until I read the story that you put in the doc.
Yeah, so it essentially looks like this little pouch, kind of like that you would hold stuff in, like a passport or something, and it has 2 screens. And when you use it with certain games in the cloud gaming / Xbox Game Pass Ultimate.
Yeah, Xbox Cloud Gaming, yeah. Use that on there.
Yeah, if you use that, it makes the bottom screen the controls like it's a Nintendo DS, and it makes the top screen the screen for the game.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Tom Warren, who we've talked about many times in the show, because he, talks about everything Xbox and related, news related before fucking Microsoft does. But he posted a video of it on Twitter. So if you want to go to Tom Warren's Twitter page and find it, he has this whole breakdown video with his lovely British accent wherein he just shows you how to use it. And it's, touch controls. So it's not super great, relative to something like a real DS, but it looks pretty cool.
It's also streamed too.
Yes, that's also true. It looks pretty cool, honestly, and it looks better, obviously, than like touch controls on a phone. It looks like something between a phone and an actual DS. And it's kind of crazy. And for all of you who wanted a Microsoft, handheld, besides using xCloud on your phone and hooking up one of those controllers that they have for them now that looks like a Switch, the Switch Joy-Cons, you could also do this, I guess, if you can, and then you'll be able to play it that way. So we kind of have different iterations of a slightly less versatile Microsoft or Xbox handheld, because these aren't as good as like a Switch or a DS, but they're getting there. Right?
Hey, you got options.
Yeah, you got some options.
And the last story for the X Block, a cheap Series S for our UK boys.
Yo, shout out to the boys in the UK.
Game UK will swap your old console for an Xbox Series S for as little as €40.
Yo, we have at least one person who listens in the UK, according to our statistics and stuff.
This is just for you.
This is for you, man. This is it. This is your time. This news story we put in here specifically for you. All right.
So if you want a Series S, go take advantage of this. It'll only cost you €40 if you trade in, I assume, a specific old console. They're not quite saying. But
I don't know. I'm not in the UK. I didn't care.
I assume if you give them your PS2, they're not going to give it to you for €40. But, a competent old console, they will give you the Xbox Series S for €40. That being said, if you're listening to us over in the UK, I still recommend you get the Series X. It's just better.
Yeah, but it's a pretty sweet deal. Not going to lie.
It is. And now, moving on to the X Factor discussion. Now we're going to double back to Xbox's E3 plans that we talked about here earlier, and we're going to talk about this 5 new AAA games, Caleb, all right?
Yeah.
So that means it's not Halo.
No.
It's not Flight Simulator. It's not Starfield, probably. I guess they could maybe weasel around the fact that we don't exactly know much about it.
They showed a panning up screen of it, right? Or like an image.
Yeah, at Bethesda.
So I guess they could count that. They barely showed it.
And they already teased the Indiana Jones game. So does that count as already being teased? I assume that one wouldn't count.
I'll just say, this includes Bethesda games, right?
Yep.
Okay, so Tango is working on Ghostwire, right? And then is Arcane working on Deathloop?
Yep.
Yeah, so there's
but Arcane has 2 teams.
Yeah. So there's that. And then, so Machine Games, probably, right? Is up?
Machine Games is working on Indiana Jones.
Oh, yeah, that's right. And is that it? Or are they split
They might have only started that, though. It sounded like they only started doing it like somewhat recently, so it's possible they have a separate team.
Yeah, I was going to say, are they working on like a Wolfenstein or something? Another Wolfenstein?
Maybe. I have a feeling this is going to be like games from In Exile.
I was about to say, if it's from Xbox Studios, then yeah, I would say In Exile, their other game that they're working on. That's what is it, like a first person? We talked about it at some point. What was it rumored to be?
A first person RPG.
That's what I thought, but I didn't want to say it in case I was wrong. So yeah, I would say probably you're going to see something from In Exile.
Yeah. I feel like it's the set in stone one is Forza Horizon 5.
Yeah, Forza Horizon 5. If they count Starfield, then maybe Starfield, and then something from In Exile, maybe something from Machine Games, possibly. We already know Undead Labs is doing State of Decay 3. Turn 10 is doing Motorsport 8. Rare's working on Everwild.
Does Everwild count? I feel like when they say
showed
new
it, though.
Games, I wonder if they just mean like we're actually going to get gameplay or something like that.
Well, it's a rumor, right, anyway? And all this is kind of a rumor, so we're kind of just going off speculation, but it doesn't matter because we're also just, regardless of whether it was a rumor or not, we're speculating what they could show, So, I don't know if we will see more of Everwild. I have no idea how far into development Rare is because their team is split, working on Sea of Thieves updates and content, and then working on Everwild. And I literally have no clue how far along Everwild is, or even what the game is.
How big is Obsidian.
Pretty big, but they're split
So
too. A
is
bunch.
this Outer Worlds 2?
See, that's the thing. I don't think they would release Outer Worlds 2 before they released Avowed.
Yeah, unless they were already on Outer Worlds 2 and they just didn't talk about it.
I don't think so though, because they just finished the DLC for. I don't know if they developed the DLC though. That's true. I don't know. I don't actually know if they outsourced the DLC or not. Because I think the first one, at least the Perils of Gorgon, I don't actually think they developed that primarily. I think someone else did.
Yeah, see what I'm feeling, like if I had to guess, which I guess I do, Ninja Theory has something called Project Mara in the works alongside Hellblade 2.
Oh, okay, I forgot
Hellblade
about
2
that.
doesn't look that far along. Maybe Project Mara is closer to being done. Maybe we just get it, because that doesn't mean these games are coming. It just means they're announcing them. It's 3 AAA new announcements, probably alongside with some games that are actually coming.
Mm-hmm.
So they could announce what Project Mara is.
Yeah, the initiative's Perfect Dark, and then Double Fine, we already know is working on Psychonauts that's coming out this year.
Yeah, I actually found a list if you want to know. So the initiative's doing Perfect Dark. Bethesda's currently announced games are Elder Scrolls and Starfield. Rare is doing Everwild. 343 is doing Halo Infinite. Double Fine is doing Psychonauts 2. Ninja Theory is doing Hellblade 2 and Project Mara. Obsidian is doing Avowed and continuing with Grounded. So there's possible for Outer Worlds 2 there. Playground is doing Fable and likely Horizon 5. Obviously, that's like what we think.
Pretty sure.
Turn 10's doing Forza Motorsport. The Coalition is probably doing Gears 6, but we've also heard they're doing a like separate
Well,
game.
I was going to say, the Coalition is helping with Halo Infinite development. They're still working on Gears 5 content up through like a couple more seasons. And then they're shifting to the Unreal 5 engine for other shit.
Yeah, and they're supposed to do a separate game from Gears, though, and Gears 6, we assume.
Yeah, so I don't know if they have anything to announce that they've been working on, but they actually have a lot going on right now.
And then Mojang could announce something.
Nah, I doubt it. What's Compulsion working on?
We don't know. That's one of the ones that we could see like a smaller game come from them.
But he
Same
said
thing
AAA.
with
The guy in the rumors said AAA game.
yeah, but they've owned Compulsion for a while and they've never made a AAA game. This could be their first AAA game. Right?
Well, he said smaller, and I was like, I don't know, because that wouldn't fit with the theory. But regardless of the rumors and stuff, it seems like Compulsion's going to announce something.
Yeah, Compulsion's a good one. Probably whatever Ninja Theory's also doing. Horizon 5 would be a lock. It's possible we get something from id. id hasn't done anything since Doom, and there is still a decently big studio. So we could get...
Doom came out last March, so we may not see something from them. Or have they worked themselves in the DLC or the expansions, or did they outsource that?
I think they have worked themselves, but again, they're like I think still a decently sized team. So they could have two teams, because they also make Quake, right?
Yeah, I guess so. That's a good point.
So... the thing is, AAA announcements could mean games that are far out.
Yeah, I was going to say, traditionally, it kind of seems Xbox doesn't announce games super far out, like in the same way PlayStation does, although PlayStation doesn't. They announce games for 2 years away, and then they delay them, 4 times. But I'm wondering if, kind of starting with this new generation, if Xbox is going to transition to a more PlayStation approach, where they just kind of announce games willy-nilly.
I think they will. I think they want to like get everybody's expectations out there, kind of like their Netflix, so that you have a reason to stay subscribed to Game Pass. I think that's going to be their approach.
And even if these games aren't coming out even reasonably soon to people who aren't as in tune, they just give the impression that there is new stuff constantly coming, or there's new stuff in the works, and that it's worth your time to get Game Pass.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think, unfortunately, because Jared and I hate the PlayStation way of doing things, it looks like Xbox trying to push new hardware and trying to push mainly the subscription service. Seems like they're just kind of announcing things that won't be out for at least 3 years now.
Yeah, I don't like the PlayStation way because it's lies. They announce a game and then they give you like a release window or like 2021, and I'm like, that's not coming in 2021. I don't even think Horizon's necessarily coming in 2021. We'll see.
I give PlayStation props though, because when they just showed a fucking image of God of War Ragnarok to arbitrarily push a couple more unit sales of their PS5 last year, they said 2021, which I'm like, oh, you're only lying to me for a year, because that's probably coming in, the end of 2022. So like, congrats, because normally you'd say 2022 or 2023, and then we'd see it and you'd push it 2 more years. So I was pretty happy that they only lied to me for 1 year.
Yeah, that's fair.
But yeah, Xbox is kind of doing it different. They just showed these teasers that are CG, which they get shit for, that's fair.
Apparently way more gameplay this year. That's what also has been rumored.
We'll see, because we got to keep holding them to the fire for only showing like CG shit. Even though CG shit typically doesn't bother me as much, but I guess I understand people's complaints, and as a podcast co-host, I kind of need to be more like, yeah, even though I don't really give a fuck too much as long as the games come out, I should probably give somewhat of a fuck because I see the valid complaint that it's not necessarily optimal to not show any gameplay for games. But yeah, they need to show more gameplay, and these teasers they show, they're usually like, these little clips that give you kind of a general feel for what's coming out for like in 2-3 years. Hopefully these games are farther along than we think, although with the pandemic, I doubt it for the games they've already announced. But hopefully the games that they haven't announced will kind of placate us till then. And other releases like a Stalker 2, those kind of second party.
That should be coming this year.
Yeah, those second party relationships will maybe give us a little something to look forward to. So wait, let's give our list here. So we think
our final ones.
Yeah, so we let's see what we think. Compulsion, some sort of game, right? And then Machine Games, and then it was what was it? Fucking In Exile, their third game or second game. It would be their second game. That's my third pick though. Then what else do we have from? What were yours? Because I already forgot because I just don't have a list in front of me.
Okay. Mine are Compulsion. Mine are In Exile.
Horizon 5, by the way. I forgot about that. Horizon 5.
Yeah, mine are Horizon 5.
From Playground.
I think maybe
That's
Ninja
4.
Theory's Project Mara.
Oh yeah, then that would be 5.
And I'm expecting something from one of the already established franchises. Like maybe them showing Gears 6 or Outer Worlds 2 or possibly a Halo spin-off.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. Probably we may get some sort of Halo spin-off. I just don't know who would have been working on that. There's no way 343 split, man. They're working on MCC constantly, and Halo Infinite, they're struggling as shit to finish that on time.
And it can't be from anybody in Bethesda unless it's just an announcement, because they wouldn't have had the Halo IP for long enough.
Like, listen, dude, I'm telling you, you should see that YouTube video they put of the Ask 343 series that they do, where they did the blog post about audio back in, you remember that? Mm-hmm. If you watch that, man, the guy who's like one of their audio leads, he is so fucking tired, man. He looks like an Afghani prisoner, dude. Like he looks, I'm not even lying. Go watch the video. He's under his eyes are like pure black, and like when he's talking, he's like, "Hey, I'm John. I'm the audio person for 343." He looks like he's fucking dying, and I'm like, dude, those people are really struggling to finish Infinite. They're like they're crunching so hard right now. But you're right, though. Like, I think sometime soon here, we're going to be getting some sort of Halo spinoff of some kind. But I don't know who.
I think it might be from Bethesda.
Could be from Bethesda. That's right. But they wouldn't have been working on that for very long.
That's what I mean. They wouldn't announce it this year because it would just be like an idea. It would be like when they showed the Indiana Jones trailer. It would just be like id showing a Halo logo. And that is the end of the X Factor discussion. Now moving on to Game Pass or Play for a brief mention. At this point, if you listen to the podcast, you know what this is, but I'm going to break it down for the new people. Every month, at the start of the month, we spin a wheel that has all of the Game Pass games in it and the EA Play games, and we pick out one that we haven't played previously or isn't like a reiterative sports game. And then Caleb and I play it. As much as we think we need to give our opinions on whether you should at least give it a shot on Game Pass, we're not giving it a full review. But if we think you should play the game and give it a shot, we will give it a pass, or a play, sorry. And if we think you shouldn't play it, we'll give it a pass. And this month's game was DayZ. And Caleb and I have both fully finished it, and you'll actually get our impressions on the next podcast.
You just missed it. May, turns out, has 31 days, and this episode is coming out on May 31st. So you just missed your window. Next week, though, after you hear this, next week's episode, come back, and we're going to tell you what we think of DayZ. Jared and I did manage to get all the achievements, and we did play it cooperatively, because this is the first Game Pass or Gameplay game that we can play co-op. And if you want to listen to previous, Game Pass or Gameplay segments, go to the first episode of the month, and you can hear our impressions for, we've done Donut County, we've done Dirt 5, and we've done Spiritfarer, and this will be our 4th game. And I guess I'll take this time, since we're not talking about it this week, we're saving it for next week. Jared and I appreciate some of you boys who were hopping on listening to the podcast. Like I said, this last episode from last week got some new listeners, some new people dropping in. So what's up? I'm sorry you found this. It's the worst thing that could have happened to you, but here we are.
And now we're going to move on to my favorite segment, I think Caleb's too, the FAF.
Yep.
And in the FAF, we bring you the news that is so unimportant that you should never read it, and instead, you should come and listen to us say it to you in a fun and lighthearted way where we will make fun of it, especially if you enjoy it.
Yeah, dude, if you were scrolling through the Twitters, as the kids call it, you scrolling through the twits and you see this news article and you clicked on it, they got you. Like you're a fool. Like the news corporations, you just got bamboozled because they made you click on that stupid article. But Jaren clicks on them for you so that you don't have to. And we're going to let you know what's going on in the world of the FAF.
Yep. So start it out, Caleb.
Micro FAF.
The first thing of the FAF from our boys at Microsoft is, like usual, the Xbox Live games with gold have been revealed for June.
Are they good?
This month's game. No, they're in the FAF. This month's games are The King's Bird, Shadows Awakening, Neo Geo Battle Coliseum. So that might be some free gamer score. And Injustice Gods Among Us. Not the second, the first.
I'm looking this shit up, Jerry. You said The King's Bird? The fuck is that? The King's Bird is a precision platformer developed by American indie game studio Serenity Forge and published by Canadian indie game publisher Graffiti Games. That's a great name. Came out 2018. Steam 7 out of 10. Metacritic 67%. I don't know. It looks like an okay game. Somehow, never heard of it. Newer. Looks... The King's Bird is a fantastic name. Shout out to The King's Bird.
And next up on the MicroFAF, there's a game coming out to Xbox and PC later this year. Some say that this is Caleb's #1 anticipated game. He's so excited for it. I Am a Fish is scheduled to release in Q3 2021 on Xbox and PC.
Kill you in real life. I fucking hate you.
So Caleb, there you go. Get
Shut
hyped
up.
for I Am a Fish.
Skip this.
All right, moving on to the next one. Caleb, hit me with it.
I don't want to hit you with it anymore. FAF Station.
Returnal's first boss is also the deadliest in the game, according to Housemarque. That seemed like a stupid design decision, huh?
Is that true? Because I've listened to Returnal discussions on PlayStation podcasts like a bunch, and it seems like the game really gets harder as you go. Like, I don't know if the boss is maybe the hardest in the first biome, but the first biome I don't think is the hardest to complete by any means. Seems like it gets really hard to get past like the third biome. So
yeah, well, it sounds like people must just give up after the first, because the first boss, according to Housemarque's statistics, apparently kills the most people.
People just suck. That makes sense though. Everybody who's bad who plays the game dies in the first boss. I imagine he's not really the hardest. We'll see. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I haven't played it. But I don't know, man. Returnal is a hell of a game idea.
But hey, you know what?
What?
If you're having a difficult time with Returnal, Sony's coming with a solution. Sony is creating AI agents to help or compete with players in games.
What?
So these game AI agents will leverage reinforcement learning, a form of machine learning in which AI agents learn to achieve goals. So maybe if you're having a hard time with that boss in Returnal, you can just hand over the controls to the AI and let the AI beat it for you in the future.
So much of a bitch that you need a robot to beat your fucking game. You play games to play games, and so while you're playing games, you think, I want this robot to play my game, because I can't play my game. God help you.
And last, in the FAF station, new Uncharted movie image released as PlayStation acknowledges cinematic push is a risky venture.
Oh my God.
Now, I've seen like tweets from, what's his face, Mark Wahlberg.
Oh yeah, what's his face, Mark Wahlberg. Yeah, Jaron.
How he thought he was like trying to be too much of an action person in this movie. I don't know how this movie is not gonna. Was that Tom Holland?
Tom Holland's the one who's had statements about regrets about trying to be too much of an action hero.
Whatever. Whoever it is. This is a Sony movie, and man, do Sony movies usually suck. Like, did we see that trailer for the fucking Venom 2 or whatever the fuck that was?
I still gotta watch the first one.
God, what a shit looking trailer. Like, just. God, does Sony suck
How do you
in
mess
movies?
up something with Tom Hardy? You know, like
because
Venom, not Uncharted.
I don't know how they keep getting people for these Spider-Man movies. Like, they keep announcing, like, hey, we got this guy and we got this guy. They got Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg for Uncharted. How do people, like, look at a Sony movie and go, you know what? Boom, this is my shit.
What terrible casting choice for Sully and fucking Nathan Drake. Like, have you seen the images? They don't look like him at all. Like, have you seen Nathan Drake and Sully?
Yeah, it looks like just two dudes that like might be in the CIA in a tomb. That's what the image looks like. I heard
Chris Reagan say it looks like Mark Wahlberg and Tom Holland at a museum.
It does actually kind of look like that. They're dressed in like all black and dark colors, like they're the CIA or something, though.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It looks dumb. I don't know what Sony's doing. They said that they're not working on anything God of War related, right? And their I don't know what it's called, movie space, but they have some sort of like TV show coming out for Ghost of Tsushima and something else, right? Horizon.
Hopefully
maybe?
they're better at TV than they are at movies.
Whatever. I mean, I'm sure The Last of Us HBO will be good, but not because of it having any relation to Sony. Only because of the HBO and everything related to the creators with HBO. but it had nothing to do with Sony. I think that's why the HBO show might be somewhat good.
Fair enough. We're spending too much time on the FAF, Caleb. Hit me with the next one.
The duty department, departures? No, it's : departures, security, and 100K.
Modern Warfare's design director, and narrative director have left Infinity Ward. So the people who made Modern Warfare's remastered version, yeah, they out.
Was it Modern Warfare Remastered, or was it the 2020
well, I mean,
or
like the
2019?
reboot.
Oh,
Their fucking naming scheme.
Well, they
fuck
have
them.
remasters for actual Modern Warfare.
I know they do. Just fuck them.
Well,
Fuck them.
I thought I read it wrong, but yeah, no, you're right though, dude. Like this shit sucked. I read that because it was actual news. Like they got me. Like I was the guy who got in the FAF. I read that news and I was like, that sucks because the Modern Warfare 2019 they were so good. I thought they were good. At least, especially when they first came out before they patched it into oblivion to where it literally doesn't exist anymore. You try to buy it and it just says Call of Duty Warzone on your fucking game download, so it doesn't. It's gone. But, you know, when it came out, it was great. And then they're like, yeah, what if we have like the creative leads just kind of fucking bounce? And you're like, okay.
Next up, if you enable 2-factor authentication on your Call of Duty account, they will give you double XP.
No.
So instead of them fixing the issue of hackers, they're making you have 2-factor authentications and you to do more work so that they have to do less.
I don't know if it's in here or if we already talked about it. You saw they banned like 500,000 people.
Yeah, they're banning people left and right, dude. They're like the government of like a repressive regime. Like they're all just always just getting rid of people.
They announce it. They talk about it so wrong too. They're like, with this new ban of 30,000 people, we've now passed 500,000 people banned. That's how committed we are to banning hackers and keeping them out. It's like, no, the point isn't like you guys are great because you banned 500,000 hackers. It's how can 500,000 people be hacking your game? Like, how is your game that bad where these people need to get banned for like modifying your game?
And lastly, do you play Call of Duty on a phone?
No.
Are you a loser?
Yes.
Well, if you're two of those things, you have a chance at getting 100K on Call of Duty Mobile's Master Series starting June 14th.
I'm only one of those things, Jared.
You're only one.
Damn it.
And that is the end of the duty department news. Caleb, hit us with the final topic.
1-sentence reactions.
Fast and the Furious Spy Racers game mixes muscle cars and Mario Kart.
The fuck's the Mario Kart have to do with it?
I guess instead the last Fast and the Furious game was kind of shit, so they said, you know what, let's take the animated Netflix show we have and make it into a Mario Kart-like game.
Huh.
Dude, are you excited for Fast and the Furious Spy Racers Rise of Shifter?
No.
The Portal movie is still alive, according to producer J.J. Abrams.
You need to portal me out of this conversation, Jared. How are they going to make a Portal movie?
Dude, I wonder if, like the cake, the movie was just a lie.
I like the thing that it's still alive, you know, because of the song and everything. And you're like, haha. But no.
Popular tabletop game Catan is getting a 3D special edition, but it's $300.
I wouldn't play this game if it were in 40.
And lastly, where I usually take over and do the 1-sentence reaction, Jennifer Hale wants Shepard to be in Mass Effect 4. You know what I say to that, Caleb?
Dude, I don't know, fucking hole in one.
Yo, I want my character, Jim Davidson, to be in Mass Effect 4 because all of us just want to work. And that's all Jennifer Hale is saying.
Yeah, we do need to work, man. That was a good one. That was a good 1-sentence reaction. Short and sweet. Vin Diesel, Mario Kart, fucking Catan, Portal movies. What a way to end it.
And that is the end of the X Block Podcast, episode 14. And now we're going to pimp ourselves out a little.
Yo, pimp me out, Jared.
If you want to find us on other platforms, head over to X Block Podcast on Twitter, X Block Podcast on Instagram, the X Block Podcast on YouTube. Search that up if you want to find us on YouTube. And if you found this on a podcasting platform that you don't usually listen on, maybe you found us on YouTube and you want to go over to the other podcasting platforms and find us. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and basically everywhere else that you listen to podcasts that Anchor puts us on.
Yeah, everywhere. Overcast, you know, all that.
Yep. And we also have a Patreon, which Caleb can tell you briefly about.
Patreon.com/xblockpodcast. Throw us all your money. Or don't, but you could. And you could throw us all your money and then we could spend that money to possibly buy me a new mic. Maybe get me a new PC. So that, you know, when Jared and I are talking during the podcast and Discord kind of cuts out for a sec and I feel like I'm silent and like everything's crashed, maybe a new PC will make it not do that because I'll be able to run Audacity, OBS, Discord, and my 5 tabs at once. Much easier.
Dude, I want a new mic too.
You don't need a new mic. Shut up.
Like not the microphone, but like a guy named Mike to bring me coffee.
Yeah, no, I could use a new mic too, man. I'm not going to lie. So yeah, I mean, if you find us on all these other podcast services, by the way, feel free to leave us like 5 stars or a good review. Say, hey, these chumps are pretty neato, in the review. And I'll give you a high five, maybe.
And tell your damn friends about us.
Yeah, tell all your friends. Shout out to the man in the Ukraine who told his homie about us. There's no way 2 people in the Ukraine found us, Jaren. One dude listened and was like, I don't know, they don't speak Russian there, right? That's probably a sense. They probably, I don't know what they speak in the Ukraine. But he said, if it were English, he would have said, hey, buddy, listen to these dudes. And then he sent them a link. And then he was like, it's pretty nice. And then they were like, yup. And that's what happened. And you need to be more like our homies in the Ukraine. You out there. I see you. Yeah, yeah. Uh-huh. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
You're not like the boys in the Ukraine. You need to share the podcast. There you go.
Yep. And I'm going to give you a challenge. If you see a man or a woman and you hear them sitting on the toilet listening to something like people tend to on their phone, where they play on their phone while they're taking a poop,
I've been there.
I want you to shout at them, listen to the X Block podcast.
X Block out.
Thanks for listening to the X Block. New episodes every Monday at 5 a.m.